It feels so good that real baseball is back. I can't wait.
Astros baseball, as I will always specify.
That's a good point. Astros baseball is back, which is a good day.
I refuse to watch another game of another team this year. I refuse. But luckily,
For the whole season?
the divine religion is back. Yes, I don't even really want to watch the other postseason games. I just want to watch my beloved Houston Astros. I'm a real sports fan.
I also don't really watch the other teams.
No one does.
I'm definitely, I didn't watch.
I'm going to watch Sunday Night Baseball so I can get more Jessica Mendoza in my life.
No, hard pass. I didn't even watch the World Series last year. I had zero interest.
Yeah, who would?
Zero interest.
Especially
in the
after
World
they
Series.
lost.
Yeah, I was done. I was
You don't
done
want
with
to watch
baseball.
that. Especially, did you think the Diamondbacks were going to get it done after the way that they looked against the Astros the last week of the year? Nah.
No, I did not think so. So one question today, our big question of the day. What is the biggest obstacle to an Astros World Series run this year? You can answer it throughout the show. We'll be taking questions, 713-780-3776. I would like to avoid as much as possible the obvious. Injuries. Duh.
Okay.
Duh.
Is there another obvious that you want to avoid?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. Because I'm about to drop the most insufferable, annoying, pandering, worst thing that you're ever going to hear.
Okay.
On this March 27th of 2024. The only thing that can get in the way of the Houston Astros in 2024, you know the answer. Can you fill in the blanks, Joe?
It's the Houston Astros.
That's right.
Show's over. Let's go home.
That's
See ya.
it.
Goodbye.
The show is over. We don't have to answer anything else because much like that dude who gets choked out by Darth Vader on the Death Star, this is the most destructive force in the universe. When healthy. Most destructive force. The ultimate power in the universe when healthy. So the only thing that can get in the Astros' way is themselves. What are the Astros doctors doing right now? What are they doing to get these guys back on the field? You know, can we send any of these pitchers to Germany for advanced work? I'm saying that in quotation marks. I would like that.
I wasn't sure if you were going to tell everyone you're using quotation marks or not. Paul.
Well,
I was a little concerned.
I forget
because
because sometimes I forget we're a radio show, but we are on camera.
We are. Hello, Twitch. Twitch.tv/ESPN 97.5. ESPN Houston on the YouTube channel. Fred says Chandler Rome is the biggest obstacle.
Because he's going to create clubhouse drama because he might have stories about how Joe Espada is now perhaps fat shaming.
Yeah.
It won't be Chaz McCormick this year. Who else has gotten a little pudgy?
Who's gonna get fat shit? I mean, Joe Espada did a great job this year. It seems like Christian Javier lost some lbs.
He did.
Fromber did.
He did, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be better.
No, it doesn't. But you never know. Who's he gonna fat shame this year? I can't just pick Chaz McCormick again. No offense, Chaz.
Unless he falls back on that banana pudding habit without Dusty Baker there.
I mean, look, sometimes there are
Banana
certain
pudding
things you
is
can't
good.
get rid of.
No, banana pudding's good.
Yeah, some habits you can't break.
Right.
I can't quit coffee dip. He can't quit banana pudding.
Wait, so your dip is coffee flavored?
I do have coffee flavored dip. Not at the moment.
But you mix the coffee with dip? Why'd you say coffee dip? Coffee and dip?
Coffee and dip.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be like coffee,
I was like,
comma,
whoa.
dip.
It was gonna.
There are savages like that.
It sounded like there's gonna be a third thing, but you did say coffee dip.
Honestly, there probably was going to be a third thing, but I didn't know what else to say, so I just stopped at 2. 1642. A terrible scandal like number 4 could get in the way, but from who Tucker, he's a little too quiet. I don't understand what that text means. Sorry, Zach. 2010. The Rangers offense.
Yeah, the Rangers offense theoretically could be better. And if the Astros pitching staff isn't up to snuff, specifically by the end of the year and in the postseason, that could be a problem. I would also say that the Baltimore Orioles are a lineup that you look at and say, hey, they definitely gave the Astros some trouble last year. I wonder if the Orioles bullpen this time around against the Houston Astros isn't going to pee themselves the way that they did in those games that the Astros and Orioles played last year. Because it was pretty funny watching those games, just thinking, okay, just get to the 6th inning because this bullpen, which is highly vaunted in every single statistical category, is going to melt down against the Astros. And it happened, I want to say, at least 3 times in the 7 games that they played each other last year.
Yeah, they were a mess. the Orioles are an interesting team this year because officially now David Rubenstein is the new owner of the Baltimore Orioles.
No
So they
John
have
Angelos anymore.
officially been sold. That they could be really. He could just go all in his first year. He probably should.
I think you should.
I wouldn't be shocked if they make major moves this year and do become the biggest team hurdle for the Astros.
If you buy something new, you want to actually use it, right? I mean, if you buy a sports car, are you just going to put it in the garage? No, you're going to drive through all the potholes on Houston roads in our supposedly broke city, per the mayor. You're going to drive on those potholes anyway. You might have to take the car into the shop after a week on the road. Doesn't matter. You're going to drive that thing. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see what the Orioles perhaps do before the trade deadline. I think in the American League, yeah, it's the Orioles 1, it's the Rangers 2, and I guess we'll see about the Yankees, who the Astros are opening the series up. A year up against.
The other 3 American League teams not named the Red Sox are all kind of in that same category for me. Where the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Yankees, when you look at them on paper, there's tons of talent. There's, except for the Rays, 2 teams in the Jays and the Yankees that have spent a ton of money. So they always feel like they could be a threat, but they often don't live up to the hype. But they're still there. You know, the Blue Jays, their lineup, when healthy, is stacked with Bo Bichette and Vlad and those guys. They're very talented. The Yankees' top of the lineup is going to be good. The rotation has a bunch of question marks, but I still view the Blue Jays, the Rays, and the Yankees as a step below the Astros, Orioles, and Rangers.
Yeah, the American League East is competitive with themselves, but again, the firepower of this battle station, it's the unquestioned power in the universe when healthy.
What is your number one?
My real number one is all about whether or not Yainer Diaz is going to be able to do what everyone's expecting him to do when he plays in 130, 140 games versus 105 or so that he played last year. And there's this interesting article from Matt Kawahara in the Houston Chronicle, and it was outlining some of the things that he has been working on, specifically pitch framing. He had been working on blocking last year, and he improved rather significantly from one year to the next when it came to that. So it seems like he's a fast learner. But the tricky thing is going to be, how does he frame pitches? And of course, you're going to have a scouting report before every single outing against another lineup. As the game wears on, is he going to feel comfortable making adjustments and making the correct adjustments? Can he do that? So I really think a lot of this is going to have to do with an advanced role for Yainer Diaz. That's not me trying to put a ton of the Astros pitching success over the last couple of years on Martin Maldonado, but this is a big difference. And this year for Diaz, you're expecting good numbers at the plate, but is that going to happen in more of a heavy role? Is he going to get some DH nights and Victor Caratini comes in? And how's he going to do behind the plate? That to me is the biggest question. The injuries, you can't really control that right now.
That's why it's hard to use injuries, because at least at this moment too, we expect all these guys to come back. So in theory, when you talk about a World Series push, you do expect to have Luis Garcia, Jose Urquidy, Lance McCullers. Now, you will lose other players potentially along the way, and there could be season-end injuries at some point. But at least in theory, all those guys will come back at some point. So that's why injuries are a tough one. But with the injuries, and with your point as well, it kind of ties in. I'm with you on Yainer. He doesn't know a good amount of the staff, and because of the injuries.
Right. There's some familiarity from spring training, but how much can you really get from spring training when you're working with these guys for what? 1, 2, 3 innings?
Well, he's going to have almost zero experience with Luis Garcia, zero experience with Lance McCullers Jr., very little with Jose Urquidy.
Verlander now.
Very little with Verlander. That's 4 guys in your rotation that you can't at this moment just have practice with. You're just not getting those reps in. So that's where the Yainer stuff, big picture, does come into play for me, because he's going to be really learning on the fly with these guys, and they're going to be learning on the fly with him as well.
And many things in life, it takes you a while to figure out what your partner likes, if you get what I'm saying. You know?
It does.
It takes a little bit of time. You're probably not going to figure it out the first time. Maybe you figure it out the second time if you're a Casanova.
feel like the second time's still pushing a little bit because you're still learning. Because the communication's got to start there.
And then you get to a point where you're boring because you need to jazz it up a little bit.
Yeah, so it's like there's a very short window of time where you really learn how you're working.
Maybe even bringing a third person like Victor Caratini into the mix.
And then you bring in the bullpen arms. And it's just and then you got a whole group of people.
Yeah, it's a big old party.
Yeah, you got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people you got to worry about on any given equation. All right, what is your biggest concern or question, or what stops the Astros from getting back to another World Series? Plus, throughout the show today, we are going to be doing, it's March Madness, so we're going to take a bracket and we're going to introduce it into baseball. So throughout the show today, including right now, we are going to start a bracket. We've got 8 seeds. We're going to do the hitters today, pitchers tomorrow. Who's going to have the best year? I seeded these, so if there's any vetoes here, I need to hear them quickly. Yordan Alvarez, number 1.
Yeah.
Altuve, 2.
Maybe I'd swap them, but I'm cool with Yordan being 1.
Tucker, 3.
Okay.
Bregman, 4.
Okay.
Yiner, 5.
Oh.
Abreu, 6.
Maybe I'd swap those two, but okay.
Okay. Pena, 7.
Yeah.
Chaz, 8.
I'd swap McCormick and Pena. That's the only one that I'll do for a veto. How about
Okay.
that? Pena's the 8.
Jake Myers, first player out.
Yeah, he's out.
He didn't make the cut.
I would rather Dubon be in and out.
On the bubble?
Yeah, it was Dubon, Jake, and Chaz, and I was like, I don't know who's getting the 8th seed here, and I went with Chaz.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that.
And then now it's Pena. All right, so first round matchup, Yordan Alvarez versus Jeremy Pena. Who was the better year? I guess however you want to define this, it could be WAR, so you can't just do home runs and RBIs. That seems a little slanted in guys like Yordan's favor, but
Pena's only winning this, let's be honest, if Yordan gets hurt.
yes. So is anyone picking Pena?
I want Pena to win this badly because, of course, he's my friend. I've serenaded him before, but at the same time, come on, we gotta expect Yordan to have the better year.
Yes. By quite a large amount.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, so Yordan Alvarez advances. Some of these first round matchups are.
Oh, it's going to be like the first round this year in the NCAA tournament.
Not a lot of competitiveness. Not sure we're going to see any upsets in the first round here, but this one, unless Sean's going to really fight us on Jeremy Pena over Yordan Alvarez.
I'm pulling up their pages, see if I can find anything.
What's their Klongdorp and their Vlomtarb Snumfunk?
I'm looking at their WAR.
Yeah, and their Global Bushnooner, you know? That's my favorite analytic. Well, you've never heard of that one?
I've never heard of that one.
You know what? Last year, closer than you think.
Yeah?
Closer than you think with WAR. Yordan had 4.6. Jeremy Pena had 3.8.
Jeremy Pena, surprisingly above average WAR last year.
That feels like not as close as I know the numbers sound close, but I don't really.
What, a 4 and a 3?
I don't really understand how WAR is calculated. It's one of those baseball things that
You just add up the thing, and then you multiply it by the thing and divide it by the thing.
I was gonna say. Is there any division in this?
And then
that's where you really lose me.
You add some exponents and dividends and portfolios.
If you add
the
parentheses in there, then I'm really screwed. What is it?
PEMDAS?
PEMDAS. Then I'm in big
That's when
trouble.
you checked out? Was Algebra 1?
Yeah, that's when they lost me.
PEMDAS. You add in pi too. You don't forget 3.14. Then the rest of the stuff, and that's how you get those numbers.
I don't. That's a good one because you're basically just saying the bullpen wasn't good enough last year, which
I don't think the bullpen was the problem last year.
I don't either. So for the bullpen to be, that's a pretty significant improvement, I would say, to drop your ERA by half a run as a team. But so I'm with you on that, but I don't think just if your ERA drops that low for the bullpen, it automatically guarantees the Astros.
I'm with
anything.
you. I'm with you. The starters, I mean, and look, we're in an era of baseball where starters don't pitch deep into games, but you want the starters to just be better than they were last year. I think that's the big thing. A lot of people, whether it's on YouTube at ESPN Houston, Stephen Hill, or on Twitch, Mr. Brostash, or on the text line, Steven says Minute Maid Park is the biggest obstacle. Brostash says the center field batter's eye is the biggest obstacle. And a texter says the batter's eye is the biggest obstacle. Again, that kind of is what I was saying. The Astros' biggest obstacle to another World Series is themselves.
Well, that's not really them. It's really Jim Crane.
Well, but Jim Crane
must fix it.
Jim Crane's part of the team. He puts that Letterman jacket on. He pitched before.
That's true.
He's competitive.
It's true.
He's spent money on Josh Hader in a somewhat reactionary move after Kendall Graveman got hurt.
I mean, they look good last night. 1-1 against the minor league baseball teams this season now. Alex Bregman hit a tank again. He's looking in spring training but he's looking mighty good to start the season this year. So
Did you see Chandler Rome's, who some are calling another obstacle to the Astros this year? Chandler Rome wrote an article, and this article has, just quite the lead to it. Alex Bregman has evolved from the brash 22-year-old kid who stared into dugout cameras and brought his bat to first base after a World Series homer. He's an entrepreneur, businessman, the closest thing his clubhouse has had to a spokesman, and is now, quote, at peace, end quote. Career year, Alex Bregman, now that he's at peace.
Bob Nightingale said MVP. We've talked about it. I'm starting to get on this real hype train about Alex Bregman having a monster season in 2024.
I'm in on it too.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see
Contract
how the
year.
bracket plays out. You know.
Yeah, the bracket
biggest test.
our feelings on Alex Bregman might be changing how this bracket's going to shake out throughout the show. Jordan Alvarez advanced in the first round. 9-5-4-7, Tucker Pena, Diaz, Javier Framber are terrible again in the playoffs.
No, that would be bad.
9-5-4-7, I'll allow it because that's what happened.
That is literally why
They were all
lost to
bad.
the Rangers.
That's what I
in
was
7
thinking.
games, amazingly.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking was that and I was going to limit it just to the pitching, all the pitching question marks we get, not injury wise, but just actual performance wise. They all kind of go against the Astros.
Yep.
That's a way that things don't go well. Now, that's not super likely that you get worst case scenarios performance wise from all these guys, from Framber, Javier, Hunter Brown, Verlander comes back. Like, all that isn't going to happen. But if it does,
Things will not be good.
things won't be good.
More comments. This is on YouTube, Joe. Injuries or middle relief from Charles Rickman, which we've touched on a little bit.
Middle relief is good. They got Montero.
Doctor Who, the biggest obstacle is you not believing enough in them. Yeah, I'm with you there. You got to believe.
You got to believe.
Got to show up to Minute Maid Park on time, unlike me.
We're the
Every
reason
day.
why. If the Astros don't make the
Yeah.
World Series, it's us.
Because you weren't
just have to
cheering
believe.
loud enough. Hey, there were moments in this postseason, specifically against the Twins, where it was dead at Minute Maid Park. And I get it. The air conditioning, not as good as it used to be. The margarita is so expensive. Thanks, Biden. Go to Highway Cantina before the game. But if you are not present in the place that you need to be, if you aren't showing that hunger, that eye of the tiger, you're like Rocky in Rocky 3 after he loses to Clubber Lang. You know, everything's so ritzy. Everything's gold. Yeah. He's got a robot in his house that's giving him drinks.
Robot butler.
Right.
Paulie was falling in love with.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so weird.
Got a wife that is
So weird.
rather unappreciative of his services. You know, she made him quit boxing in Rocky 2, and in Rocky 3, she calls him basically a wuss. And Rocky 4, she's like, "Don't avenge your friend, you'll die. You're not good at boxing." And he overcame all of that, and he got that eye of the tiger back. But we all need to have the eye of the tiger as fans of the Houston Astros this year.
8270, the Astros will not go to another World Series.
Yeah, well, I'll kill you. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say go die.
I'll kill you with facts.
I mean, that's fine. I was like, that's not the question here.
You're not allowed in our cult.
Yeah. What's the obstacle to stop them? 7032 is this year Verlander falls off cliff. No, I'm not gonna say a cliff. I don't expect him to be much worse or better than last year. He's a very good pitcher, but he's not. I wouldn't have expectations that he's going to be a Cy Young winner this year.
That would be a funny injury if that was the big Astros pitching injury this year. Or Justin Verlander.
Oh, maybe that's
literally
what
falls off a
7032
cliff.
means.
Yeah, like what if he actually falls off a cliff? Baseball injuries are so weird that falling off a cliff, not a big one because obviously you'd probably be dead, but falling off of a cliff, that would not be that surprising of a baseball injury. Guys out on a hike.
Yeah.
With a landslide.
We've seen it all. We've seen players miss time because of sneezing. Mm-hmm. We've seen players miss time because of dirt bike accidents. We've seen players break their leg celebrating home runs at home plate, getting hurt jumping over the rails.
Did you see the story about a mountain lion killing someone who's on a hike?
No?
That could happen.
That could happen.
Bear.
That could stop the Astros from getting
Don't
the World
go
Series.
hiking. Don't go camping. There's no reason.
Yeah, there's no animals. If you don't go hiking.
No.
No animals that are going to kill you.
None.
Most likely, I would assume.